because you have 60% tariffs, we're going to reciprocate with 30. No, they have no tariffs, and you're just putting 30 on. The whole thing is false. And the whole idea that the reason we have deficits is because of cheating and tariffs of other countries is a lie. That yes, are there tariffs on some things? Yes, sure. Is that why we have $1 trillion a year trade deficit? No, not at all. You know, and most of the stuff that are tariffs, it's all agriculture. So the products that countries are somehow keeping out are farm products, right? There's no tariffs on our manufactured goods. The reason we're not selling manufactured goods is not because of tariffs. That's nonsense. We're not selling them because we're not making them. That's why Americans have to buy all these foreign products, because we don't make them. And the guy that I was debating with, this guy Spencer, was saying, we've got the most efficient factories in the world. Well, of course we don't. If we had the most efficient factories in the world, we would be producing all the stuff that we're importing.
So with that being said, we've basically given our industrial away since the 70s, correct?
It's been a gradual process.
Over time, right? And it's not getting any better.
Worse.
So
it got worse under Trump. It got worse under Trump's first term, when he claimed we have the greatest economy in the history of the world.
Well, that's all manipulated, right? I mean, everything's manipulated. They're moving numbers around. I mean, you look in the last 4 years, NVIDIA has basically held up the entire stock market. The S&P 500 is absolute dog crap. Anyone that believes that's true, they're damn wrong, right? So everything has been manipulated grossly, and Trump has not even been in, 3 months now, and we're blaming all this on him now? I mean, this was all set up to fail.
Right, but he did accelerate the process. Look, he's going to be the fall guy now, but he did it to himself. So the dollar index is now down on the lows of the night. We're at 102.4. I think once the dollar index cracks below 100, it's going to free fall down to 90. And again, this is going to expose, because people were thinking that a strong dollar would take the sting out of the tariffs. Instead, it's going to make the tariffs sting that much more. Because not only are goods going to be more expensive because of the tariffs, they're going to be more expensive because of the weak dollar. You know, and the weak dollar is what's going to get people to run from our bond market. So not only do we have prices for goods going up, interest rates are going to soar. I mean, this is stagflation that like we've never seen that we're coming. And, you know, and again, the Fed didn't even think this was possible, even though it was the most obvious outcome. That's how clueless the people at the Federal Reserve are. I mean, you talk about the blind leading the blind.
So it's no secret, right, that we're in debt $36 trillion, right? That everybody here knows that. Probably going to be 37 here shortly.
Probably already is over 30. The numbers aren't rising fast enough because of the debt ceiling. Once they raise the debt ceiling, you're going to see that number jump maybe at $2 trillion. It'll all of a sudden go to 38 trillion. But I mean,
but wouldn't a weak dollar help it?
Well, a weak
as far as
but it's going to push up interest rates. And our deficits are going to get bigger.
But I mean, as far as just saying to go defunct on it, okay, now we can print it and just be done with it.
When a pack of chewing gum costs $1 trillion, the debt doesn't mean anything anymore, right? So but then we've destroyed our currency, and
well, then we go to a different monetary system, right? You go to like a gold-backed system. You've
wiped out everybody. You've wiped out the baby boom. Nobody has a retirement account anymore. Everybody, I mean, so you wipe out the currency. I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen? I mean, you know, they got Adolf Hitler in Germany when they had hyperinflation. Ours could be worse than Weimar. And you know, I mean, Donald Trump ain't Hitler, but you know, he's not even close to Hitler. But you never know who could come to power in that kind of economic crisis, you know?
No, I don't disagree with that, right? I mean, you don't want to, bad times create weak men or whatever, weak men, so on and so on, right? Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, Andrew. I've talked to both
Yeah.
Peter and Andrew on this app before. It's pretty cool.
Me too. I went out with Andrew a couple times to pizza and to a bar to play music.
Yeah, when I was in college, I bought this book called The Federal Mafia. His dad, Erwin Schiff, wrote it, and he had this.
That is the most famous tax resistor in American history, I think.
Yeah, he had this big sign in Vegas on the strip saying like "Pay no income tax."
I
And
remember.
yeah, he pissed.
Do you know how you know what Andrew? Andrew's an unusual fellow. I mean, I think they're a little bit like autistic or something. I don't know, but they're fine. And Peter's very successful and has an amazing life.
Yeah.
And Andrew said, "Do you know how Erwin Schiff died?
Yeah.
He died like chained to a bed in prison,
Yeah.
handcuffed to a bed.
Yep.
That
Isn't
is
that
no way
crazy?
to go." And what's that?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, he was very stiff-necked, as they say about our people, and the judge would, he was openly contemptuous, not contemptuous meaning defiant, I should say, not contemptuous. He was openly defiant in court of judges over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, he had plenty of opportunities to not die handcuffed to a bed.
Yeah.
Like,
Well.
the judge gave him 10 years, and he was literally.
Yeah, but they made a case. They made an example of him because he was known as a tax protester. So he was a victim of really the legal, political, industrial complex. The judges really.
But he could have gotten off that train, with a slap on the wrist. He did not have to die.
I know, but he made it a political. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of information with regards to what he was publishing, what he was saying, the news, and his movement, and because you got to understand, he inspired a lot of people. So he caused a big problem.
He's freaking crazy.
Yeah, but
it's not true that you can just not pay your taxes because it's not in the Constitution. Blah blah blah. That's crazy.
I know, but in his book, he makes a legal case for it based off of the history and everything else, and so it doesn't matter. I mean, it's his opinion, but the problem is, like, it's
I know that you know a thing or two. Were you in the room the other night when we were pointing out that they hate Israel because it's colonialist, quote unquote, but they love the Ottoman Turks, man. They were like brutal colonizers who weren't of the land.
Mm-hmm.
They were literally colonizers and conquerors. Were you the one that was there when we pointed this out?
I don't know. That comes up a lot in these rooms.
In any event, so in any other country in history, if you don't pay the taxes, they chop your head off, or they throw you in jail, or they cut your hands off. Like America, they gave him the chance to plead his case.
Yeah, but he had a publishing business, and like his books were going global because it's political. So it's just an interesting story. I mean, I'm listening to Peter here.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, Peter's an X right now in a room called Zero Hedge After Party Tariff Q&A, and he's talking about the economy and Trump's tariffs.
Is it good?
It's fast. Peter Schiff has a way of communicating unlike anybody else because I think he's like a hype man, or he causes panic.
He wants Doesn't he sell gold or something?
He's a financial advisor. He wants you to invest. He owns ETFs that trade. Like, you can just quickly buy a Peter Schiff ETF. So
I know that he's fat. He's quite wealthy. I know this.
I think his net worth is like $20 million. But
Wow. I mean,
it's nice.
I don't know how many people are in the room. I know people who were making that like quarterly.
Yeah, that's wild.
Making it, and then for decades. What's that? But I still think it's a nice hustle, and he's got his place on Nantucket or whatever.
Yeah, he's got a place in Puerto Rico. He spends most of his time in Puerto Rico.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, the government seized his bank and still hasn't returned the money to his depositors. So he probably wants to run for Senate or Congress.
What does that mean? That he had a bank?
Yeah, he had a bank in Puerto Rico, and the government seized it, and they took all the depositors' money, and they're still suing to get it back.
I don't even understand that.
You can Google it if you want.
Speaking of scams, that guy, he's never going to get out of jail, right? Sam Bankman-Fried.
I don't know if he's ever going to get out.
he's going to be an old man. I mean, that guy, he ripped everybody off. He stole billions of dollars. It was a total scheme. And he was selling virtue. He was a left-winger, wokey, vegetarian, you know,
It's funny
Democrat.
if you think about him like using the money and spending the money. Like, do you think like he even knew how to enjoy it? I mean, have you seen the guy? He's
Yeah,
I mean, he's pathetic beyond belief.
yeah. And the girlfriend, too.
Oh, it's fucking. I mean, that's so crazy though. Like, I mean, the question is, did he even enjoy it? You know.
I mean, I think these people are, they have mental illness.
That's the thing about what's that movie Rain Man with Dustin
Yeah,
Hoffman. You know,
yeah, and Tom Cruise.
yeah. There's people like that who I think Elon Musk is a little bit like that as well. I don't think he really
Sure.
enjoys his luxury. I think he's like a minimalist maybe, and I just don't understand why people are minimalists when they accumulate all this money because it
It's
just
more fun to
yeah.
have a vision. It's more fun to make something than it is to spend money. It's funny. This came up last night. These three Hollywood stars. In Hollywood, it's a lot about ego, more say than an industrialist or an entrepreneur. Three Hollywood stars who live very simple lives. Um, Tommy Lee Jones, worth 100 million. Dustin Hoffman worth 100 million. William Defoe worth 20 million. And they stay home. William Defoe likes to ride his bicycle. To the set. He doesn't take a chauffeur, and he doesn't buy. He lives in a modest apartment. He doesn't buy designer things or labels or anything like that. I mean, you've sort of hinted at it. I don't know. Somebody is texting me here. You sort of hinted at the people who worship ego, or who are sadistically aggressive, anti-Semitic, or people who are like weirdly virtue signaling and woke. Everybody's missing the boat with this stuff. And you said this yourself: breathe some fresh air and read a book. So what you're saying about spending your wealth, I've been around, jaw-dropping, with the kind of wealth where you couldn't spend it if you lived, 5 lifetimes. There's way more people who have to give away millions every year just to avoid the taxes, and those people are not any happier than you and me.
Yeah. I know
They're not.
it's funny. It's because the game rules are all the same. We're all on an expiration clock, going to prison. I mean, we're not coming back, and everybody is born penniless and dies penniless. So, I know a lot of people that have insane amount of money, and the kids are alcoholics, and
Yeah.
they don't exercise, and they're unhealthy. They'll never have kids.
Life's painful.
Yeah.
And people become narcissistic and spoiled and egotistical and flawed, and they avoid their shortcomings, and so the shortcomings, they sneak up on them from behind and ruin their lives. By the way, you changed a lot on this app and became like very sociable and normal and talked in your what did something change in you like I don't know, 9 months ago or something?
No, I mean, it's basically if I'm screaming and yelling, I mean, it's all a shtick. Like I'm recording myself. So
Well, there was like a bunch of, oh my God, you're recording. People were like, oh, he's recording us. Oh, get rid of him. And like very nice people who you never attacked, like Elena, because she was unconscious. You just sort of left, or like you had your set of rules. You're like Steve Appel. Do you get to? I mean, you could stay in Steve Appel's room if you didn't do anything wrong. Did he kick you out? I can't remember.
I mean, he's just an obnoxious person. He doesn't, he doesn't go with the flow. I heard somebody said he's blind. They can't. Is that true? I don't know. I've seen his YouTube videos. I'm like, doesn't look blind to me.
I haven't seen his YouTube videos. Edward isn't blind. He is rigid
He lets me read for 60 seconds, then he kicks me to the goo, or he kicks me from the room. So it's
But
like,
you could, don't you have thoughts on things? You could, instead of doing the parody,
I do.
you could,
I do. I mean, it's how many times am I gonna do it though? It's like I've been in that room 100 times. I've been recording him for years. It's like, there's a point where it's like I move on because nobody on this app moves on. They're all just still stuck in the same place where they were years ago. There's nothing new coming out of them. It's the same show. It's the same recording. It's the same deja vu. I mean, this guy too. This guy is so
don't throw him
pathetic.
out. Don't throw him out. He's not. There's something underneath. I mean, maybe I'm fascinated by unusual minds, but he has a cosmology, Randy. He has a perspective. He's not the biggest schmuck on Clubhouse by any means.
It's just a libertarian perspective. It's fiscal conservatism. I mean, we're $40 trillion. We're screwed.
Yes, Adrian Dittman.
Yeah, but Adrian doesn't do shit. He just comes and like disturbs and gets hit.
Well, sometimes I talk to him. I talk to him sometimes.
Well, he only talks to Jews. That's the thing.
I don't think so.
You got a short window
I don't.
to load up on these mining stocks, I think. And I got a fund. I think we've got a great portfolio, the Euro Pacific Gold Fund. In fact, anybody wants to buy it, no load. It's EPGIX is the symbol. You can buy it at Schwab, Fidelity, anywhere. But I would just back up the truck because the upside is so high. Yeah, there's risk. I could be wrong. You can lose some money, but it's like an asymmetric trade. Right now, what I would do is buy the mining stocks, and after you get the first triple, maybe take some profits and then use that.
Did you ever see that movie about Dead Man Walking? And obviously it's an expression.
So that's what I would do right now is buy the gold mining stocks and get the gold in the ground, and then buy my above ground gold later when I'm taking some profits on my gold position. I wouldn't sell out all of them because I think we're going a lot higher. But take some money off the table and then buy some physicals.
Yeah, I'm all for buying different assets and diversifying and rotating assets. So if let's just say, for instance, if the banks did fail and all of these hedge funds that have been swimming naked for however long, that have been shorting these mining stocks that we've been in, if they basically get margin called, I guess that would greatly increase the value of these stocks
Well,
too.
yeah, look, if there's
you
people
thinking?
that are dumb enough to be short these stocks, they're going to get their ass handed to them. Because one day we're just going to gap up, right? Let's say we have a crisis and we come to work. Let's say overnight, I don't know. Let's say people show up at work tomorrow and gold is up $200 or $300 just on the open. Then what? These stocks are so cheap that the stocks they might have such an order imbalance that they don't even open them. I mean like this, and there are people that are short silver. I mean, silver can open at $50. If we get a big drop in the dollar, and it's not a bad question of if. This shit is going to happen. It's just a question of, does it happen tomorrow? Does it happen next week, next month? It's going to happen.
Peter,
Yeah.
is there a potential problem where if you look at Trump's background, he's a real estate guy. That's really what he is. And so real estate guys, historically speaking, and throughout my lifetime, have always been, low interest people, right? So they leverage everything they have on low interest rates and on the bet that interest rates will be low. And so is it possible that Trump's really bad economic thinking stems from his overabundance of real estate history? Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, he views things from the prism of a borrower. And so from a borrower's perspective, low interest rates are always good. But, from a lender's perspective, higher interest rates are better than low interest rates. But yeah, he only sees the good side of low interest rates, and he doesn't see the downside. He doesn't see the damage it does. And he does know that Americans, unfortunately, have a lot of debt. And the reason we have so much debt is because interest rates have been too low for too long. But so low interest rates would help out all the debtors. But the only way we can get low interest rates in this country is if the Fed prints a bunch of money and buys bonds. So the only way we can get low interest rates is to create higher inflation, which is also a problem. And ironically, as you create more inflation, you make bonds even less attractive. And now the market wants to sell bonds to push rates higher because interest rates have to compensate you for what you lose to inflation. So the more inflation you create, the higher the interest rates need to be. But you're creating inflation to lower interest rates, so it's counterproductive. But eventually it just produces a collapse, and that's where we're headed. But I'm going to take like one or two more questions.
Thank you for answering.
I don't want to go past midnight. It's 11:52, and I've been at this since 7 o'clock because that's when I started doing the Zero Heads debate. So I can take like, let's see if there's any one last guy. Then I got to go to bed and I got to rest. So okay. Oh, that's MAGA guy. But does anybody else want to talk? I got a few of you. Yeah, Nolo or. Just somebody.
Yes. Yeah. Peter.
Yeah.
What are your? Just a quick question. I know that you probably didn't want to talk about this, but we're getting really awfully close to Michael Saylor's cost basis buy-in. Do you think he's going to get margin called? And are you hoping that he does?
Well, I don't think he can get a margin call in that he didn't borrow on margin. He sold convertible notes. And there are various covenants on those notes and things like that. So I don't think he's going to be forced to sell right away. But what I think is going to happen is he's going to lose access to capital. Because the way he's been able to produce his so-called Bitcoin yield is MicroStrategy stock trades at a premium to Bitcoin. And so when he sells stock and convertible notes at a higher price, and then takes the money and buys Bitcoin, he ends up increasing the Bitcoin per share as he's increasing the overall share count and levering up the balance sheet. But he's able to show that now each share has more Bitcoin. Well, what's going to happen is MicroStrategy stock is going to go to a discount
margin call
to its Bitcoin. And I made that same prediction, and I was right about the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust when it was closed in, that it would go from a premium to a discount, and it did. And everything that I said would happen, happened. So what's going to happen is his shares are going to go to a discount to the Bitcoin. The minute that happens, he can't issue any more stock, he can't borrow any more money, because he would then have a negative Bitcoin yield. Because if he has to sell stock at a discount, then every time he sells stock and buys Bitcoin, the yield would be negative. So he can't do that. So once his stock goes to a discount to its Bitcoin, MicroStrategy can no longer buy any Bitcoin. Well, MicroStrategy has been the big buyer. Not only have they been the big buyer, but since everybody knows that MicroStrategy is going to keep buying, other people have bought to front run his buying. So once the biggest buyer on the market is sidelined and can no longer buy, A, he can't support the price anymore, but B, the other people who were buying because he was buying, well, they're not buying anymore either. Now they're selling. And the other reason that people were thinking that, people would buy Bitcoin was they thought the U.S. government was going to buy it. Well, once we're in a complete collapse, the last thing anyone's going to be talking about is buying Bitcoin for the strategic reserve when Bitcoin is crashing along with everything else. So, yeah, I think MicroStrategy is eventually going to go bankrupt, but it might take a couple more years. But before he's forced to sell his Bitcoin. But anyway, I got to get going. So on that note, look, I thank everybody for staying up. But tell all your friends to, this Spaces is going to be on Twitter, on X, More people have got to hear it. More people have got to follow me, especially the MAGA people, because I have a lot of sympathy with MAGA people. A lot of the things that Trump says are correct. He's just going about it in the complete wrong way. His heart might be in the right place, but his head is not. and people need to know the truth. And people think, oh, if my criticism must mean I was a never Trumper. No, I wasn't, right? I'm a free market, libertarian Republican. But I understand economics, and I understand finance, and I know it's about to go down. And I love the country. I want to see it succeed. I can't help that it's failing. It's not my fault that it's failing. I've done everything I can to put the right information out there, and nobody cares. Nobody, because everybody wants to shoot the messenger because they don't like the message. Even though it's a message of freedom and prosperity and everything that made America great. But we got to get more people to understand this. And that's the other reason I always wanted, my clients to invest in this strategy, because I know when everything crashes, I think my clients will end up with a lot of money. My clients will be rich and everybody else will be broke. But that also means that my clients will be in a position to help out, right? Because if you go broke, you're struggling. It's like if you're on a ship and it sinks and you're on the same ship, you can't do much. But if you get off that ship and you get into a lifeboat, when the ship goes down, now you can come up in your boat and help people out of the water. So that's how I thought. I've been getting people in this lifeboat for a long time because the ship is taking longer to sink. So, people should, go to the Europac website, europac.com. It's not too late to sell your U.S. stocks. They're still ridiculously expensive, even if we didn't have these tariffs. That's how ridiculous it is. The market is still overpriced, even if we had no tariffs at all, even if we weren't about to hit a financial crisis. And foreign stocks have been dragged down a bit, even though they're doing good on the year. They've been dragged down in the last week. So it's a great time to sell foreign U.S. stocks and buy foreign stocks, buy gold stocks. But you got to act fast. And I can help you do it. I got guys at Europac.com. You can get on the phone tomorrow, and we can help you, build, the crash-proof portfolio. Prepare for the real crash, because there's a good chance that it's around the corner. Anyway, that's it for tonight. And
Peter, can you do me a favor? Can you give me a follow? I'd like to interview you and help shed a little bit of light.
Just
through the
send an email to Paul@shiffradio.com. He handles all my scheduling. Paul@shiffradio.com. All right.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody. Bye. There's a good chance that it's around the corner. Anyway, that's it for tonight. And
Peter, can you do me a favor? Can you give me a follow? I'd like to interview you and help shed a little bit.
Are you guys talking about anything? Peter Schiff ended his podcast program. It's the same thing every time he talks. It's all doom and gloom, and he's got the recession-proof portfolio that you need. Go to Europac.com and talk to one of his wealth advisors today. We got a doctor in the house.
It's called. Yeah. Sempe Eternal? Because the rest of the game could be eternal. Sempe Eternal. I would have been mad if you know.
It is my Republicans Clubhouse.